Hey guys, welcome back to another Dragonheir Silent Gods video. Today we're back on the test server for Season 2 access and we're going to look at the new artifacts coming to the game in Season 2. There are mostly only legendary artifacts, there's a couple of epics, but the exciting thing is that we do have 3 new exclusive artifacts with, of course, 3 new legendary heroes who can only use those, who are the only ones who can use those. So if we jump into it, let's have a look at what artifacts there are available, and we'll talk about how to get some of the ones that are rewards for different areas. So first of all, if we start by covering the new epic artifacts, so we've got Cosimo's crucible that gives defense and resistance as its base stats, and also the wearer and their nearby allies gain an additional 35 scaling up to 60 resistance for 15 seconds. The artifacts like this I'm not personally a big fan of because it's only for 15 seconds, so it would be great if this was a longer period. It would help you to reduce the stats you're using on the rest of your heroes by having one hero using this artifact, but instead it screams like an arena artifact to me, to kind of avoid those initial debuffs that you're going to be facing against other teams. So, as I say, this artifact could be great, but because it's only 15 seconds, its use is going to be pretty limited, mostly to arena. Next up, we've got 100-eyed robe. So defense and HP percent, and whenever the wearer takes damage, for every buff on the attacker, the damage is reduced by 3.5% all the way up to 5%. So this would be really good if you're facing a dungeon where there's going to be lots of buffs on the boss. Mostly we're actually removing these buffs though in these situations, so it's not that relevant there. Once again though, this is a very good artifact for arena. If you're facing against a team, say Rally for example, they're always going to have at least one buff being their rally buff. So it's really good at just reducing the incoming damage taken, but obviously with it only being by 5%, it's not a huge amount, but it could make that difference to help keep your team alive. So these are the only 2 epic artifacts coming into the game in Season 2. So of course these are picked up by picking up epic duplicates, which you can then trade in the artifact shop to buy them. So if we move on to the legendaries, we've got as I mentioned, the 3 new exclusive artifacts. So we've got Ascetius's, which gives him attack and crit damage, and he also gains an additional 20% crit rate. And Incineration's damage bonus from Dispelling Burn is increased. The damage bonus for each stack of Burn dispelled is increased to 150% at full upgrade, 100% at baseline. This is good because his baseline skill is only 75% usually, so it's doubling the damage from the damage bonus of the burns, so that is an incredibly strong artifact and allows Ascetius to do huge AoE damage. Next up, we've got the Crown of Order, which is coocookantis' exclusive artifact. So his Lawful Retribution skill will ignore 10 all the way up to 35% of the target's defense, while the damage bonus ratio provided by each stack of Overwhelm will be increased to 4%. This is an artifact that is incredibly fun. I've played around with coocookantis quite a lot. He does insane damage, and especially if you're able to get his stacks rolling really high, every time he uses his ultimate skill does insane damage. So next up, we've got the Helm of the Frostbeards, and this is the exclusive artifact for Beldel, the Ice Blast legendary. So damage dealt by Runaway will be increased by 10 all the way up to 35%, and while the upper limit of the stackable damage of Frost Favors will be increased to 200%. So once again, this just enables Beldel to do insane damage. This is a single target damage dealer. As with all of the Ice Blast heroes, they are primarily focused on single target damage as opposed to their counterparts. So Freeze, for example, for Ice heroes is the AoE kind of damage type, whereas Ice Blast is single target, and the same goes for Burn with Wild and Thunderbolt with Dauntless. So the next artifact we're going to look at is the Tempest War Drum. So when the wearer deals damage for each enemy on the field under the effect of Electrocuted, the damage is increased by 3.5% all the way up to 6%. So if you're applying a lot of Electrocuted debuffs on the whole all of the enemies, this is going to give you quite a nice damage bonus every time you're using it, and it also gives you attack and attack percent. Now we've got the Oil of Skyfire, which is attack and attack percent as well, and every time the wearer applies Burn, they gain an extra 2% attack up for 10 seconds. This effect stacks up to 10 all the way up to 15 times, so you're gaining a huge amount of stacks, obviously an extra 30% attack at max upgrade, as well as the base attack that this is bringing on the artifact. So that is the new burn artifact. The new Ice Blast artifact is whenever the wearer consumes ice crystals, the next battle skill deals an extra 15 all the way up to 25% damage, also giving you attack and attack percent. So this is kind of the three that we've just covered are the new artifacts for the new damage types. They do seem to be very good on paper. I've only tested the Ice Blast one out myself so far, but I do intend on testing the other ones out today. So next up we've got Titan Rib, which gives attack and resistance. So every time the wearer successfully resists a debuff, they gain an extra 2.5% all the way up to 5% damage bonus with an immediate infinite duration, and that stacks up to 5 times. So effectively, if you're building a hero with resistance who's able to deal damage, you could gain up to a 25% permanent damage boost as well from this, which could be worth the kind of sacrifice of stats, but I'm not sure. We'll have to kind of see how this plays out in different areas, whether it actually is valuable or not. But obviously, while we've got the test server, I will do my best to try that out as much as possible. Next up, we've got Nutaurs Shears, so HP and attack percent. When the wearer deals damage to a target, they also reduce the target's max HP by 15% of the damage dealt, up to 35%, scaling all the way to 60% of the target's max HP. This does not apply to boss enemies. So the biggest area I see this being useful is against stall teams in Arena. So if you're fighting, say, a Garius that you're struggling to kill, having this artifact will just reduce his max HP by 60% and most likely allow you to kill him before he gets his ultimate skill off to fully heal. So this artifact could be really useful in the Arena. Once again, it's not going to be great for PvE because of the fact it doesn't work for bosses. So just bear that in mind. If you want to pick up this artifact, it's mostly going to support your Arena team. Now we've got coocookantis bindings, so attack and accuracy. As the battle starts, the wearer has a 100% chance to inflict attack penalty 2 on the enemy with the highest attack for 10, all the way up to 20 seconds. If the wearer's attack is higher than the target's, the inflicted effect cannot be removed during its duration. So this is really good for just kind of locking out the most dangerous enemy at the start of the fight. Once again, it's a really good artifact for Arena because you can, say, inflict attack penalty instantly on the enemy nuker and not worry about them before their first ultimate, which gives you time to rotate through your skills, potentially kill them already, and just kind of neutralizes the threat that they're going to be bringing. Next up, we've got the Aurora telescope. So this, whenever the wearer deals damage to an enemy with higher defense, the current damage will boost based on the defense ratio between them. When the target's defense reaches 130 up to 230% of the wearer's, the damage boost will reach the maximum of 20 to 35%. So this is really good if you're facing enemies who have a good chunk more defense than you. Probably works very well on bosses. Obviously, as well as that, you are gaining HP and attack percent, which will be a large chunk. If you look here at a legendary artifact fully maxed, you're getting 60% attack from that. So it's going to give you some nice stats and potentially a 35% damage boost if you're fighting an enemy with very high defense. It also could be useful for taking out tanks in Arena. Obviously, they've normally got a very high amount of defense. So this artifact could be very good. And also on top of that, while the wearer takes a critical hit, the damage is reduced by 15%. So it's just going to help to keep your damage dealers alive that little bit extra. So the next two we're going to be looking at are the rewards from Meander and Pillar of Trials. So each season these artifacts are going to be changing. Last season we had the giant turtle offspring shell from the Meander and the Hero's Trophy from the Pillar of Trials. This time around we've got the Ravatrix's Roots from Meander. So if we look at the stats here, we've got HP and attack percent. And the wearer receives an additional 5% up to 15% HP and 5% up to 15% attack. For non-legendary heroes, this effect is doubled. So effectively, you're going to be getting 90% attack and 30% HP on a epic hero from this artifact because of the 60% you're gaining from the base. So this is a really interesting one. I love the fact that there's that added benefit for non-legendary heroes. I'm definitely interested to finish Meander this season, pick this artifact up on my account, but I will be playing around with it a little bit on the test server as well, just to see how much stats we're actually getting and how impactful that can be. So the artifact that we're going to be getting from the Pillar of Trials is the Everlasting Diamond, and this one looks really exciting to me. So it comes baseline with HP and Enlightenment, and healing from the wearer is increased by 25%. Meanwhile, the wearer also receives an additional 1 up to 125 resistance. So this is just a nice passive boost to your healing. 25% is nothing to laugh at. So you're getting a good amount of healing, you're getting Enlightenment, which a lot of healing scales from, and you're also getting resistance to help you prevent the annoying debuffs that you're going to be facing in the game. This is an artifact that almost certainly, if you're able to finish Pillar of Trials, you will be making use of. I can almost guarantee that there will be a situation where you're going to want your healer to have enough resistance to not get debuffed, whether that be the fact that you're using a healer in Ancient Battlefield to negate the stun, or just for general content, and especially in PvP. So this artifact looks incredibly good to me. So that is all of the new artifacts from Season 2. Unfortunately, as I say, there's not going to be any new rare ones and only the 2 epics. I would love to have seen more. But as for the legendary artifacts we're getting, discounting the 3 exclusives, they are quite exciting. But the 3 new exclusives are very exciting. If you're able to pick up one of these heroes, and obviously a duplicate copy of them, then these will be completely game-changing for you. They will excel your account in to areas that you didn't know you were possible to reach. So yeah, just keep an eye out for these artifacts, and I hope you enjoy Season 2, and we'll see you in the next video.